Hello, I'm back with another book review. This time we're going to be talking about Self-Made in America by John McCormack. This was written back in 1991. It's a bit of an older book, but a book that touches me personally because my dad, Angelo Poli, who worked for Vidal Sassoon for many years, then set up his own brand of hairstylist salons around Italy, was also going out around the world lecturing other hairdressers and hairstylists on how to cut hair his way, which was a variance of the Vidal Sassoon way. And one day, John McCormack called my dad over to Houston to train all these hairstylists. Now, John McCormack has an interesting story, which he tells in his book about how he was a policeman in New York. His wife was a hairdresser, and how he almost got shot one day. And he thought, do I really want to continue down this route? So they moved to Texas, and they decided to open a hairdressing salon called Visible Changes. Then open a second, a third, and a fourth one, and now they have a whole chain of hairdressing salons around Houston. Now the children are in charge of the business. They've taken over, and they're growing the business. They're scaling it even more. And this is the story of how John McCormack, scaled his business and created it. It's a really, really interesting story. In fact, he tells the story to Tony Robbins. And I think I've told you this story when I did the review of the book Unlimited Power, how one evening in Los Angeles when I was doing my flight training, I saw Tony Robbins come on the screen of the TV, and he was actually interviewing John McCormack. And because I knew John, not personally, but my dad, had been out to do business with him a number of times, and my dad told me the story, I tuned in because I knew that, John was the real deal, which to me then, because he was associated with Tony Robbins, made Tony Robbins the real deal, which has encouraged me to go out and buy Tony Robbins books back in 1991, which then, helped me get through my flight training and onto my career in aviation. So, John McCormack has a special place in my heart because of that, even though we've never met in person. But this book is interesting because it tells you the story, of how he went from policeman to entrepreneur and how they built their salons and what was unique about it. And it's really about the people. He talks about the importance of having good people and training them and looking after them and paying them good money and motivating them to do a good job. And then the whole customer service system they have in place, looking after their clients. Clients get emails, they get special gifts on their birthday and things like that. And this was back in the 1990s, where Visible Changes was actually voted as one of the best growing small businesses in America by Inc. magazine. So interesting story. I'm surprised that there haven't been more books written about Visible Changes and the story. So this Made in America. I mean, you can grab a copy of the book on secondhand bookstores. But that's really not the purpose of today. It's just wanted to share with you another book that's really touched me. Some great ideas in here that I'm applying in my business. And in fact, as I'm talking about this, I maybe need to revisit this book. I haven't read it for a while. And so, this is a great one, the story of John McCormack from Visible Changes. So if you've read this book, or the story of Visible Changes, and you've learned something from it, or you work for Visible Changes, let's post a comment below. Let's get the conversation going, and I'll see you on the next book review. Thank you.